Hey, welcome to you joining me on this episode of Walk with G-Links. I hope you're having a great start to your day at whatever time you may be listening. Maybe you're coming to the end of an active week or day. Whatever it is you've been, it's definitely been an amazing day for you. And I hope it gets better from here onward. Just to bring a couple of things into perspective. Right before I did this podcast, I was just reflecting on the purpose why I started this podcast. Because it's so easy to deviate from your purpose when you start trying to do things that will make people maybe listen more to you, turn it to something more motivational because you feel that is what people love to hear. And it was just a reminder for me that that is not my goal. My goal is to speak the truth, not even my own truth, but what is God's truth on earth? Because there's so many truth out there, so many paradigms that people have accepted to be their own truth. But I want to be able to speak what is God's truth, which is the core foundation of this earth. And that's why I'm here today. And I hope as you continue to listen, it will be a blessing to you that you always know that, look, I can always find a baseline for whatever I do with this podcast. And I pray God continues to help us. And thank you so much for the followership. I really appreciate it. Today, we're going to be looking at something very different. How do I put it? What is pain? And I'm not going to bring up any acronym of any sort. Pain is this, like we know fear. They say false evidence appearing real. I really want to talk about pain. What is pain? I'll be taking my Bible scriptures from Psalm 84, verse 1 to 7, but I'll just read from verse 5 to 6. It says, "Blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose heart are set on pilgrimage. As they pass through the valley of Baca," so some other versions call it the valley of weeping, "they make it a place of springs. The autumn rain also covers it with pool." I can say, and then the last verse says, "They go from strength to strength till each appears before God in Zion." I paused here a couple of days ago and I started just reflecting on it. The Bible says, as they pass through the valley of weeping. Who are these people that when they pass through the valley of weeping, they turn it around? But let's not go too far because we're going to go back to the first question I asked. What is pain? Pain is the most studied medical term that I've ever known, that's ever known to mankind. I think pain has been deeply and widely studied. But I'm going to make a clear distinction today. Pain is not the outcome. Pain is not your outcome. Pain is not what you are going through. There is cause and there is effect. Pain is not the effect of what you are going through. And I'm like really challenging your mindset today. Pain, I call it, is a response to what is happening to you. A lot of time we see pain as, oh, I went through something and I feel pain. Even medically, it's defined as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience. So I see pain as the way your body responds to an uncomfortable situation. And of course, there are other outcomes that can come from it. Some people might go through pain that might lead to amputation. And some people might go through pain that might lead to them having to do surgeries. Some people might go through pain that might lead to them taking medications. Those are the outcomes. So the process of how you assimilate that moment is pain. And many people go through a lot of pain today in the world right now. And I'm going to be very humble and very sincere because this is something that it's so deep that you can't just gloss over it and make little the pain people are going through. People go through stuff. They used to say back my younger days that all the lizards are laying down on the floor, but you don't even know the one that has a stomach upset. People are out there dressed up driving their cars, some driving fancy cars, and they may be weeping. You hear of stories, people who are doing extremely well and suddenly they experience a medical crisis and the family is turned upside down. That is raw pain. And my heart goes out to anyone listening to this who is experiencing pain right now. And I hope that these words, you will find it an encouragement to your soul. You find it an encouragement to your spirit. It's coming from the depth of my heart that you will find help when you need it. Pain leads to helplessness. Pain leads to hopelessness. The Bible, from where we read, said, when they pass through the valley of weeping, that means there's a place every man must go through. And trust me, I believe in this life, nothing is straightforward. Like, challenge me to this, and show me one thing that it's a straight line graph. Life is always in phases. Life is always in ups and downs. There are high moments and there are low moments in life. There are times of when we're ecstatic with joy. There are times where you are emotionally drained and exhausted. There are times where you feel like everything is put together. You have all your acts together. You seem to you can figure it out. And then there are times when you can't even hold one thing together. Everything seems to just be falling apart. That is pain. I don't want you to feel that you are alone in this struggle. I remember clearly the story of David in 1 Samuel chapter 30. David came back home and he realized that his wife, his kids, his whole army, their family had been kidnapped. He was in real pain. Your wife, children, and everything that you loved is gone. He doesn't even have a clue about where he's going to find them. No clue about where. But I just want you to stay with me on this journey. And that's a lot of times where we find ourselves. You just life just throws you a curveball, and you actually don't know the direction you could tilt that ball away from you. It's coming straight at you. We're just in pieces. The whole decision-making process is in pieces. And that was exactly what David was going through. To the extent that, and this is what even magnifies pain, to the extent that, and I think there's always, I just love the way God works, right? Because there's some things that the way it helps me to come out in this podcast, it always gives me a good sign that this is what I want you to talk about. So the way David went through the whole process, his wife is gone. Now, don't forget that his wife, his kids are gone. And then you realize that the Bible says that then the men started thinking of stoning him. How? He didn't take your kids. Why was he now the one to blame? That is pain. Pain from the fact that you lost your family, but pained more by the fact that the people that you thought you helped are actually turning their backs on you. Someone shared a story with me recently, and I feel it's a real life experience, Fantastic guy, has helped lots of people in their career to rise to the top, well known in the industry that he operates in, solid guy. Like, everybody wants to work with this guy. It's one of the things they said about him. He was super fit. He was an exercise junkie, obviously eating well and doing all those things. But he fell into a medical crisis, and my prayers are with him and his family right now, going through a difficult time. And someone realized that, okay, let's put a video together to just send up some encouraging words to him. And guess what? Some of the people that he helped in their career journeys could not even take time out of their busy schedule to send a heartwarming message to him in his crisis. Oh my God. My God. That alone makes me feel so emotional, broken. That is pain. You're believing God for whatever you may be believing God for. Yeah, yours might not involve people. Maybe yours is just private to you. But you're just trying to find a way out. What I can point out to you from these experiences that I've shared, pain is real. Pain is a response. Let me just put it that way. Pain is a response. But at the same time, you can choose how you respond. Because pain is a response means that pain is a choice as well. You can respond with pain, but you can also find a better way of responding in difficult situations. And I'm going to take us back to the story of David again. He lost his family, kidnapped. He felt a sense of betrayal by his friends, a sense of abandonment. He had no one to turn, no one he could literally turn to say that, help me out here. Like, every man needs some of you are going to find this podcast your companion in a lot of things. That's my prayer. You'll find it your companion in dealing with certain issues. But at that point in David's life, he didn't even have someone he could talk to. Come on, I'm telling you about deep things here. He couldn't even find a friend that could listen to him. And many of us, you've tried people, you've spoken to them, and then you realize that they're the ones that are actually stabbing you at the back. I'm not even going to go into all that. Those are like deep conversations that can literally break anyone. David had no one to talk to, no friend, no brother to talk to. His parents were not even there at that moment. And many of us find ourselves in those kind of situations where there's no one to talk to, no one to lean on. Some of the challenges you and I go through, you can't even tell your family members that these are your own blood relatives, because either you feel that they won't empathize with you, they won't understand you, or there's just something that you just know that there is no need sharing this with them, because you probably know that they're not going to be able to help you. But I'm here to encourage you, to teach you that your response does not have to be pain. When you look at that story, if you ever find time, you could just Google 1 Samuel chapter 30, 1 Samuel 30, and just read it. If you've never opened the Bible to read before, just Google 1 Samuel 30 and just read it to the very end. And you realize that David did something that was so unnatural. Now, let's get to where I'm going. Your response has to be unnatural when you're going through pain. Your response has to be unnatural. Pain is a natural response. Pain is what everybody feels when you go through a betrayal, when you go through a difficult time. Pain is what everybody feels. But I'm teaching you today, speaking to myself as well, that your response has to be unnatural. The Bible says David encouraged himself in the Lord. He found a reason to be joyful. When you Google, let's see, for purposes of this conversation, to even understand what's the dictionary meaning of encouragement? Dictionary, right? Let's even understand what it is. It said giving someone support or confidence or being supportive. He found his confidence. He found a support in himself. He encouraged himself in the Lord. So you've got to come to that place where you decide that my response is not going to be pain, but my response is going to be an encouragement to myself. That, oh my God, I'm going to get through this. You suddenly find that you have a base that you will not fall below. Like, I'm not going to go, it won't be worse than this. And I'm going to get over this. That is finding your confidence again. So I want to encourage you today. Find your confidence again. You may have been betrayed. Find your confidence to know that you're special, you're valued, you belong. You're not an outcast. A lot of times people may want to make you feel like an imposter, like an outcast. You are not an outcast. You are not an imposter. Find your confidence again. Someone is going to be blessed by the stories of your life. Those challenges that you are going through right now is going to be a reason a lot of people are just going to give you a hug and say that, you know what, your story really helped me get through my difficult moments. And that's what David did. He gathered himself up. So gather yourself up. Remove the garment, the stigmatization that people have thrown at you. People are throwing things at you, take them out. This can't do anything to me anymore. Take them out and just find your confidence again. Find your confidence with Christ. understand. Bible says he encouraged himself in the Lord. And that is where we bring, this is not just a motivational speech. It's a Christian podcast. You encourage yourself in the Lord that God sees all things and he can help you in every situation. Psalm 121, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from where my help comes from. And if you remember the very first podcast, you can always go back to that very first podcast. It was Psalm 107. It said, give thanks to the Lord because he is good. God will always come to help you. But you've got to turn away from that pain. It makes you worry. Pain makes you to complain. Pain makes you to grumble. But the moment you find your confidence and know that my God is for me. God is not an irresponsible father. Let me say that to you. God is not an irresponsible father. He will not see you going through a difficult time and you feel like he doesn't care about me. That is not God. Human beings can do that, but God is not an irresponsible father. So find your confidence again. Don't let pain be your response. Let your encouragement in the Lord be your response when you go through a difficult situation or as you go through this difficult situation, because God is going to bring you out of it. You're going to arrive, just like Psalm 107 verse 30 said, after they prayed to God to help them, the Bible said God brought them to where they always wanted to be. And that is where you're going to be. I love you. I celebrate you. I'm giving you a virtual hug to let you know that God is on your side. Take care and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.